And I'm an addict from Santa Cruz, California. Somebody else? I've done this 1,000 times, right? For those who wish to join me in the Serenity Prayer, followed by, after a moment of silence. Follow me in the Serenity Prayer. God, grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, courage to change the things I can, and the wisdom to know the difference. The 10th World Convention of Narcotics Anonymous is proud to introduce a man who has, and we're sure will continue to be, an asset to our program. At this time, I would like to welcome the Director of the State of Kansas Social Rehabilitation Service on Alcohol and Drug Division, Dr. Phillips.
Thank you, Nona. On behalf of the state of Kansas, I would like to extend the official welcome to you all here. I'm proud to represent Kansas and to see so many of you here for the 10th World Convention. I'm very happy that you've chosen Wichita, Kansas as the site for this conference, this being the first time that the conference has been held in Middle America. Not many people come to Middle America for conferences, and we're really pleased that you chose here to come. Narcotics Anonymous has come a long way in 27 years. 27 years is a short time for any organization to have been in existence. 27 years is a short time in the sense of time, but in terms of growth for NA, it's been pretty fantastic. As you're all well aware, in 1953, NA began in California, and in the first 27 years of its existence, there are 49 states that have NA programs. And as we were talking about in the service structure meeting this afternoon, there's groups all over the world now, Germany, France, England, and as a Canadian, I'm proud to say that there are more Canadians. It's cool. Us and the vegetarians, yeah, right on. There are groups in 6 of the 10 provinces in Canada. Nothing in the territories because I think it's just too cold. In 27 years, though, NA has gone from a very few groups with a few people in them, sometimes just 1, 2, or 3 people, dedicated to staying clean, sitting by themselves sometimes for weeks on end, hoping and praying that others would attend. And now today, there may be as many as 2,000 groups throughout the world. And this also means that there are thousands of members now. The growth of Narcotics Anonymous, I think, is well illustrated by the growth right here in Kansas. The first Kansas NA group began right here in Wichita in December 1976. The second group started just a month later in Topeka. Now, though, in less than 4 years, Kansas has something over 20 groups in existence with more than 90 meetings being held every week. All this in less than 4 years. To me, it's just phenomenal to see the growth. In these short 27 years, you've made a tremendous impact on the whole treatment community. NA has broken the barriers that have been set up by hospitals and institutions. And many of your new groups, and many of your groups, are now inside the institutions, inside the walls of prisons, jails, and on the wards of hospitals. To get this acceptance in the institutions has been a monumental task, and it's an accomplishment that you should all be very proud of. In 27 years, you've helped so many people to get clean and stay clean. So many of your members now are not talking in terms of days or weeks or months of staying clean, but rather many are now talking in terms of years since the last time that you used. This accomplishment reflects the power that you have in impacting on people's lives. and the compassion that you have for yourselves and for your companions, and the dedication that you have in leading a new and better life. I think that this sharing is maybe one of the most important things of NA. Whenever you help someone else to stay clean, you're helping yourself to grow, expand, and learn new facts about yourself so that you're helping you live a healthier, happier lifestyle. In 27 years, you've been able to impact on the hidden addict. More and more housewives, businessmen, and others are attending NA. The increasing number of addicts, other than street addicts, who are now attending NA shows me the success that you've had in reaching out to persons who are traditionally perhaps overlooked or forgotten. And you've brought them into the system, and you've given them new hope through a new life through NA. In 27 years, NA has begun to reduce the stigma of being an addict. All of you are living proof that an addict can recover and lead a productive, successful life. And you've gotten this word out, and so that you are now more accepted and respected than at any other period of time in history. Now, after 27 years, you're accepting the monumental challenge of writing your own big book. You've grown both in numbers and stature, and now you're going to expend the energy, the time, and the heart to record NA so that everyone can have access to your past and your future. The development of the big book will provide NA with lasting stability and endurance through time. After 27 years, you're reaching out to receive a better understanding of those people who need NA and who may be different from you. The gay workshop on your agenda shows that you're opening new doors to try and better understand and help others who may need NA. After 27 years, you're here in Wichita celebrating your 10th World Convention. After 27 years, we know that those who are addicted today are better off because of NA, because of all of you. I know your convention is a success, and I hope that you'll have a good time while you're in Wichita. And I'm sure that you will, as long as you remember that you got to stay away from the park after 8 o'clock. Remember the high that you're feeling from the sharing that's going on during these few days that you're together here. And try to stretch that time and that feeling out through the year, one day at a time. Thank you for inviting me here to share with you, and thank you for coming to Kansas to share with us, because that sharing is really the tie that binds us together. Thank you very much.
I got on a plane yesterday at 7:05 in San Jose and laid over in Denver, Colorado for an hour, and I arrived here at 1:30, and I got off the plane and walked in this burst of heat, and my nose started to bleed. And that hasn't happened since me and cocaine split up. I remember when I was growing up in Brooklyn, and the streets were our playground, you know, and I would be sitting on garbage cans, and my whole world was a 14-block radius of what the rest of this world looked like. And yesterday I flew 2,000 miles to be with a bunch of dope fiends. You know. I'd like to talk, well, you know, I shot enough dope and I drank enough booze. I hurt myself and a lot of people along the time before I got here. And that's my qualifications before I got to the program. My recovery has been slow to some degree. I usually like to talk about God, so I will. God, as I don't understand Him, has brought me, like the pamphlet said, from the gates of insanity and hell to an adventure to heaven. And I got a book once from a person in this program a long time ago. He said to get to heaven you have to take a little bit with you. And that's what I'm doing here today, is I'm taking a little bit of heaven with me. I get really I love to cry at conventions, you know. And why not, you know? I was sitting in a Narcotics Anonymous meeting in Santa Cruz 2 months ago, and I didn't have a job. I didn't have a place to live. My car was broken down. And they called on me to talk at this meeting, and I said, oopty blah, 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 and I'm going to the convention in Wichita. And everybody in the room looked around at me, and people that know me in Santa Cruz really knew that was going to happen for me, because that's the way God's been with me in my program, in my life. And up to a couple of weeks ago, well, I have got that good job, and I have got that place to live, and my car's running. By the first year, I plan on getting another one. But I still didn't have the money for Wichita. And somebody came over to me and they said, I want to give you something. And they handed me a round-trip ticket to Wichita and $50 to spend while I was here. And I'd like to thank that person. And I'd like to thank God for putting that person there, you know. That's how my program, or my life, you know, because I can't separate my program and my life, because they are one. If when I got here and somebody said to me, sit down with this piece of paper and pencil and write all the things you want down in sobriety, I'm here to tell you I would have cut myself short. I really would have, you know. Next month, by the grace of God, I'll have 4 years in this program. And I couldn't stop using for one day. I love you, you know, and I can stand up here and I can tell you that. And I don't know your names, and I don't know where you came from or where you're going, but I love you. And I know you love me, even if you're not in touch with that yet, because that's what this whole thing's about. It's sharing our experience, strength, and hope, and our love with each other, that we can make it 124 hours, you know. And there's only 2 things I really do know for sure today. Is one, that if I don't take anything, I will get better. And the other thing is that God loves me unconditionally, and has always. I want to introduce our speaker, Gina.
Hi, y'all. I'm Gina. I'm a drug addict and an alcoholic and an anorexic, and it's only by the grace of God and the help I've received in meeting halls like this, only littler, that I'm here tonight clean and sober. Howdy. Oh my God. I was sitting there a few minutes ago trying to figure out what in the hell I was so frightened of. I mean, this is not the first time in my life. Got two microphones. Okay. This is not the first time in my life I've ever been in front of people, you know. The reason my voice is going to keep doing this is because I'm having like psychosomatic laryngitis. I don't know if you've ever had it, but it's one of them this too shall pass diseases, so just bear with me. But I was sitting there and I started picturing, the mob scene from Frankenstein with all the people with their torches, and they're coming after you in the night, they're all chasing up, and I was picturing everybody running up, if I said the wrong thing, and I'm sitting there at this table just going into hysterics, and she said, what's wrong with you? I'm just picturing everybody, because how on earth am I going to say the wrong thing? I was thinking that maybe I would do the wrong thing, like that my voice would completely be non-functional, which might not be a bad idea at that, or that I would faint or use the bathroom on myself or just go running out the door, like just drop everything and just go running out the door. And I had a few minor distractions. This is a dress. I very seldom wear a dress. I don't really know how to act, but these people, my roommate who was going to go with me, it was like she made this really big pitch about how I should wear a dress and look like a grown-up woman, says, because that's what you are. And I'm going, certainly, yes I am. And I had to, really think about it and come down to reality. She's right. I am. I'm right. I'm an adult woman, right? Okay, good. Thank you. So I decided that, for once I would wear a dress. And this Jewish nurse that moved to Atlanta that used to be a roommate of mine left this dress, and it looks all right. I've never worn it before, but I thought I would try it for a change, and I got the uglies before I came down here, and there was oh, never mind. This is all pointless. I came here. The reason I'm here is a lot more heavy duty than all that stuff. I tell you, I'm going to first tell you about Monday morning. Monday morning, was Labor Day. And Monday morning, I slept late, and I had a dream. I've had, I think I've had maybe 10 dreams about this guy. Real heavy dreams about this guy that I used to know when I was a kid. I was 19 years old and he was 20. And I want, like when I wasn't running down the road hitchhiking, trying to get away from him, or he wasn't kicking me out the door, or he didn't have somebody else with him trying to con me into taking a sisterly attitude towards the bitch, then, I was his old lady, sort of. And I was 19, and he was 20. And we were little kids. We were little kids that didn't very often take baths or brush our teeth. Didn't really have any place to live. You could say we had each other, but we had a lot of each others. A whole lot of each others. And he happened to be my favorite each other that I'd ever met any place. Because he was just so cool. And he was not just the coolness. I knew that he was deep down inside, he was a nerd. And I felt like I was too. Because, in between, we were always bopping around singing. And in between the Grateful Dead songs and the Rolling Stones songs and stuff that we were jamming, he would sing something like Waltzing Matilda, and I knew that he had that feeling way deep down inside that he didn't quite fit in, you know. I've always, you know, from the word go, I was going to be really cool. I really was. It's because my father is a college professor, and I'm part Mexican, and nobody in Nashville, Tennessee is part Mexican except me and my brothers. I mean, it just doesn't happen there. You know, we've got a few recent Cuban refugees that moved up, you know, new developments. But anyway, I had to be so cool. And this guy, his name was Bishop, he had to be cool too. And he was one of many people that I became horribly strung out on. I mean, horribly. And I had a lot of dreams about him when I would hitchhike away. Anyway, I've had about 10 of these dreams, what I was going to say about the dreams, since it was sometime in October 1972. I was 19 years old, and I was pretty trashed out. I had mats in my hair and little creepy crawly bugs. I had the same dress with new patches that kept ripping up, and I kept putting on, you know, more leather patches. They had to be leather on. I was real stoned, you know. I made it a point to be, and I couldn't keep Bishop's attention. And this one night, he was dealing MDA on the hill in Boulder, Colorado, you know. He was dealing this MDA. I knew he was dealing. I mean, it's funny, but a guy can, you know, just any guy can be walking around, but you put a funny hat on him and something that jingles, you know, he's walking around, maybe something fringy, and have him float around standing outside in a doorway, and I just go bananas, you know. Anyway, this guy was dealing this particular night, and the police arrested him for something, and he did the logical thing to do at the time. He ate everything. And when his mother came for the vigil, and I met her the day before the funeral, she gave me this ring. And there were a few times when this ring was taken forcibly off my finger. I was dead drunk, blind, running, loaded, all fucked up, all over the place, when a few cops took this ring off my finger. But under all circumstances, this thing always came back. You know, it's one thing that always came back. Monday morning, I had not let this trip cross my mind in quite some time. You know, I'm bopping around in my life. You know, we have NA in Nashville, and it's about a year and a half old. It's real cool. And a lot of times, you know, I don't generally get asked on 12-step calls because I'm really hot shit. Nobody bothers me. I'm too busy doing other things and living my productive, useful life. I'm just really hot stuff. And Monday morning, I wake up, and it's funny. I was kissing Bishop goodbye again. One more time. I used to kiss him goodbye, like you know, like before he died. And I was kissing Bishop goodbye again in this dream. And I woke up crying, and I'm sitting there looking out the window, crying my ass off. And you know, the brain goes off, the ego. You're 27 years old. That boy is, you know, when he died, he was 20. You have nothing in common with him. What difference does it make that this one little 20-year-old boy is lying underneath 6 feet of dirt in some cemetery in Boulder, Colorado? And what difference does it make that, you know, that all your other brothers and sisters are lying underneath 6 feet of dirt in Nashville and Boulder, New Orleans, New York City, and God knows where else. And I sat there and I cried my ass off. And I said, listen, God, I know that these people could be out here writing some songs, you know. They could be out here drawing some pictures. You know, they could be doing things. But they're dead. All that energy and all that stuff is gone. And you know, a lot of times I try to act like, well, I don't pull it off very well, but I try to act like I'm serene. But there's a few times, like the other morning when I said, "You son of a bitch, why did you let them die?" And I didn't get an answer, but I did remember. Somebody told me in a long time ago. They say, when they hand you lemons, you make lemonade. You know. I don't know why those cats are dead. But as long as they're dead, I'm going to keep, you know, I don't want to see anybody here, or anybody out there die because they didn't know about this thing. And it was real funny, but nobody had called me on a 12-step call in a long time. And this kid was at the door, banging on the door. I hadn't even had time to read my little books, you know, like you're supposed to do, or nothing. You know, I hadn't even put on my makeup or nothing, and I had to deal with this person that wanted me to talk to a kid in the hospital. And I'm so glad I talked to that little guy in the hospital. He might not ever come to a meeting, I don't know. But I'm here, you know, and I'm here knowing what I'm here for. And it's funny. I got my little NA tie tack, and I put it in my ear, and I think it matches my ring real good. I don't know. I think it does, you know. Yeah, because this is recovery. This is real important. I guess I told you I'm from Nashville, Tennessee. My father's a college professor. I sung rock and roll and blues. That's a lot of what I was up to. In Nashville, they have a kind of different thing around the people I hung out with. It's musicianship is next to godliness, and I never felt like I could measure up to most of the people I knew. I never have felt like I was really worthy of much of anything. But I'm real willing now to take a chance. And I came up really wanting to be very, very cool. And God gave me a whole lot of real fine gifts. And, you know, I don't know, are there a lot of people out here that are here for like their first meeting, or they haven't been here very much? You know, could I have a show of hands of people that have got less than 30 days that are in this room? When I first came to AA, because we didn't have NA when I first started getting help. When I first came to AA in Nashville, you know, when they would talk about God, I knew that eventually they were going to lower the boom. You see, back out on the street, when you were hungry and you were desperate enough to eat at the damn Hare Krishna temple, or the Process temple in New Orleans, or the St. Mark's, or the St. Luke's, or the St. whoever mission, wherever. And they serve you that crap that after you get it down, it comes back up. Before you get it down, you got to sit through the sermon. And they're going to tell you about God. And they're going to put him in this nice, shiny little box. And if you try to even trust anything that don't fit in that box, then you certainly are going straight to hell. But you got to sit through that before you eat. And I waited for somebody to come down with what was the catch for a long time. And a few times in Nashville, down south, it's the Bible Belt. A few times in Nashville, a few people, opened the little magic door that I kept waiting for them to open, and they would reveal the little crucifix, with Jesus, a power greater than myself, whom I choose to call Jesus Christ of Nazareth, our Lord. If you are a Christian, that's fine. But it's funny, I never heard anybody say, whom I choose to call Jah. And I'm going, Jah, that's the one they talk to in Jamaica. Or whom I choose to call Allah. I never heard anybody in a meeting say, whom I choose to call Allah. Whom I choose to call Buddha? No. It's funny, isn't it? That no one will talk. We either talk about God or somebody else. I don't want to lay a trip on you. If you're new, whatever we're talking about here is whatever is meaningful to you at the time. And more than likely, you've got a real warped concept. I used to hear about escaping from reality. What you're trying to do, you are trying to escape from reality. Well, I was not trying to escape from reality. I was trying to escape from this real warped idea of reality. I had this real strange idea of what reality was. And it had nothing to do with what I see now. Very little to do with it. I didn't have walking around faith. That's what I call it. To me, walking around faith is the faith that when you go outside, the sidewalk is probably going to be there. When I would see people coming towards me, I would get pictures of, the people in the Night of the Living Dead or the visitors from Planet X, where they look like you, but then right when they get up to you, they grab you. It was like a constant thing where I was like, I've got to get out of here. And it didn't matter where I was. And if I was by myself, that was even more terrifying because I hated myself. And not only that, it proved the fact that I couldn't do any better, I'm by myself. I couldn't even get anybody to hang around with me. I have sat in my room crying my ass off for, hours and hours and days. This was during the year where I decided I wasn't going to use drugs or drink, but I wasn't going to come to any meetings. Oh, Gina Anonymous. How to become psychotic in just 1 year. Good God. I would sit there in this room and I'd be sitting there going, nobody loves me. I don't have any goddamn friends. And I'm so ugly. And everybody hates me. And all of a sudden it'd be like, at the door, and I'd go, oh my God. Oh shit. Who's that? And I'd look, and it would be somebody really good looking that I really liked. One of these guys that I was really hoping would take a shine to me. We could have a conversation. He could pull out his guitar and we could make music. It would be exactly what I would want at the door. And you know what I'd do? I'd go, holy shit, he's going to see me like this? Are you kidding? I'd sit there, I'd be real quiet, and maybe he'll go away. He would go away, I'd sit there, and I'd, down the steps, the guy would go away, and I'd sit there, and then the loneliness was real heavy, because I'd just blown all my excuses. One of my favorite excuses when I was feeling lonely, this is still a good one, but I don't buy it anymore, is, Well, sure, there are people who love me, but they're not the right people. They're not good enough. Anybody done that one, you know? You know, I know my mother loves me, but she doesn't understand. Who gives a damn? To me, it doesn't matter if you understand. The fact that you're making an effort to understand is, because I have no assurance that any of you understand anything of what I'm talking about. But the fact that you're sitting here making an attempt to do so is wonderful. It really is. It's great. Anyway, Gina Anonymous lasted about a year. During that year, I really developed some real neat addictions. I want to tell you something about my concept of this program. To me, the steps of Narcotics Anonymous are exactly cut out for me. And they apply to what I believe in completely. Step number 1, we admitted we were powerless over our addiction, that our lives had become unmanageable. I got to mention something in here. Have you ever noticed us as our addiction? That's singular. That's one big hairy thing that all of us share. But our lives, that's separate, you know? When I leave this room and you leave this room, you know, we're gonna go to the bathroom by ourselves. You'll probably order something different on the menu, you know, on and on. Our lives are separate, you know. There's a couple of other things that are unified in these steps that are real, you know, that take a while to sink in. It took me a long time to figure out that that's not a misprint, they meant it. In the third step, it says, we made a decision to turn our will and our lives, remember the same trip again, over to the care of God as we understood Him. Okay. Our will. Remember the group conscience? That's our leader. God, as He may express Himself through the group conscience. You know, like our will. That's a unified thing. And we're turning over our monkey, you know, the horrible thing inside me, that disease, my addiction, you know, and our will, because it's all the same kind of negative energy, and we're unified. We're coming back with the group conscience. I know you guys probably already figured that out about 6 months ago and everything, and this is no big revelation to you, but it really was to me. I had this other big revelation today at the literature meeting. It was a very small meeting. I have this habit of reading the big book, the AA big book, and using what they say most of the time. You know the part they talk about paying the people back real fast. I'm not real good at that. But anyway, and they have this one line in there where they say, if your prospect is interested, loan him your copy of this book. That one's not one of my favorite lines from the big book either. I've done that 5 or 6 times and I don't like the results. There's another line in there that says, if you're having trouble staying away from the first drink, then you should eat a lot of sweets. And 5,000 puked up Hershey bars later, I'm not going to do that one either, you know. But other than that, I've been a real big book thumper, you know, oh Lord. And these, you know, the guys that wrote this thing, you know, one of the main guys, he was a stockbroker from New York City. Well, he was really from New England. He lived in New York City. And his best friend was a doctor. And these guys were incredible people. They were wonderful people. But, you know, when they were approached about drug addiction, they really didn't know what to say. It's like, very good, you know. And I have deified these cats. Well, you see, I don't know about anybody else in this room, but my sponsor says, whenever I come up with an idea and I'm happy or excited about something, he says, that's very good, very good. Fine, Gina, fine. Just don't make another goddamn obsession out of it. In other words, I've deified these cats. How come these old guys, 45 years ago, could write a book that people can stay sober on, and I think we can't? Then I'm crazy out of my mind. Look at us. We have got so much energy and so much beauty and so much strength. And hell yeah, we can get direction. You talk about direction, purpose. You got here, didn't you? I got here. I mean, there's a lot of people who are natives of Wichita and so on. It's not that big a deal to get here. But, there were 8 other people that were supposed to be here from Nashville. The reason I'm here is because I'm supposed to be here. This is like the most important thing. Ron called me up on the phone and asked me if I would speak. And I just, oh my God, oh no, I just freaked. I was so happy. And I was, you know, I said, I'm going to say yes now before I talk myself out of it, you know. And then I was so excited. And he actually wanted to talk to me on the phone extra, even though it was long distance. And it was costing him money. People don't do that where I come from. I was impressed. I was touched, you know. I don't know what we talked about. What did we talk about? It didn't matter, did it? It was wonderful. I didn't even know he had dimples, and I was willing to, oh, it was great. And I'm going to throw out another comment. I didn't even know he had an old lady. No. What I'm trying to say, I was so excited and I wanted to share it with somebody immediately. So as soon as I got off the phone, I ran down it's not like a hall, it's like a breezeway in my apartments. And I banged on the door to where my neighbors, they're little medical students. They're really cute little medical students, and they go to Vanderbilt University, where they were hanging out in their apartment. I banged on the door. Hey, guess what? Guess what? Hi, how you doing? Guess what? Guess what? And they're going, Gina, good to see you. I'm glad you remembered my birthday. Come on in. You want to get stoned? What was that you wanted to tell me? Oh, nothing. Never mind. Oh, my God. And the thing is, you know, like, I wasn't going to tell the people in my group back home either, because I knew there's a couple of them, and these guys, they're so cool, and they know how full of shit I am, and the idea of me going and being a speaker is like, you know, oh shit. That's what I thought that would, you know, because have you ever noticed there's some people that whenever it's your turn to talk, all of a sudden they got to go to the bathroom. Anyway, these guys are so cool. These were the ones, you know, Oh, they were my heroes when we were using. So I knew that these guys didn't really love me worth a damn. And, well, they loved me, you know, like you love people, but they didn't really, you know, they were, I wasn't going to tell them. So I had these pigeons that would, that's what we call babies, pigeons, whatever, that started telling people in meetings. I'm not modest, I'm just paranoid, you know. I thought that they would, you know, write a letter to the, you know, to the convention committee saying, you don't want her. Because I know her and I know what she's going to do. Anyway, this whole thing of like, I'm not staying on a subject. The subject was changes. Talk about changes. We got, I call it NAESP. I'll call it anything, you know. The Shining, that's a good way of putting it. Like they do it in the movie, they said, remember in the scene from The Shining where the guy says, we can spot each other because we got the Shining, you know. Well, we got it. You know, we can feel it. It's really heavy. There's a group conscience and all that stuff. And there's all kinds of weird things that happen to keep us together. Real weird things. Because you know there had to be a lot of weird things happening for us to even be alive. Anybody ever have anyone pull a gun or a knife on them? How many of you were stupid enough to say, go ahead and try and shoot me, motherfucker? Right. I mean, really. Not only are we lucky to be here, alive, we're lucky somebody hasn't locked us up for good. Really. I was talking, I don't know, I told you that I'm a professor's kid. And it was really weird when I was a little kid. I still am having trouble understanding what it was that I was supposed to be doing, what it was that they wanted me to be, and, you know, how this thing fits in now. I don't know. My grandmother wants to, you know, I ate dinner with her about a month ago, and she wanted to talk about the program. And nobody in my family, every now and then they'll corner me and want to talk about the program. Usually it's like, don't bring it up, because when I first came into the program, that was all I had going for me. When I first came into Alcoholics Anonymous. And that was all I had going for me. And when I first came into AA, I was 21. And I was a little baby. I was a little street baby. I had a cowboy hat. You know, I had to wear my cowboy hat, and I had to stay underneath it, because that way nobody would fuck with me, because I was scared to death. You know, really, I didn't know how to shave my legs, roll my hair. You know, I looked like a girl because I must have looked like a girl. I hope I looked like a girl. I don't know. But I was a street musician, you know, past the hat. That was what the hat was for originally. And I was too cool to go to those meetings. And there were very few young people. I was the youngest one going to the meetings. And there were very few people that would talk about drugs at all. And I thought, I've never been addicted to heroin. I've never been physically addicted to anything with needles. The only reason I really didn't get into needles was because every time I would try to get my friends who were into needles to hit me up, they would refuse. I hated them, but I don't know. I got I got over by being cute, I guess. or something. And I didn't fool too many people, even the most strung out, even the most screwed up of my friends. No matter how much they loved me or hated me, knew that I was a fuck up, and that if they got me on anything, I would stay on it till death do us part, because that's the way I do everything. I run it right into the ground. So I'm lucky. But I knew I was a drug addict, and when I came into AA, I had been physically addicted to beverage alcohol. But it could have been anything. You know, it could have been anything. I'm very lucky it was beverage alcohol, because at the time, that was the only damn drug you could get any decent help for. And I had these big mommies and daddies in AA that took care of me. And I was not exactly, you know, a joy to sponsor, because I had habits like running out the door. I lived in a funky neighborhood, the kind you die in if you're an idiot. You know, running out the door at 1 a.m. with the intentions of getting into trouble, with a track record using of like minimum 6 rapes. No, I didn't rape anybody. Plenty of people hurting me, robbing me, because I'm tiny, let's face it. Because I was vulnerable. Because I was stoned and I was lost. Because for one thing, I traveled 2,000 miles wearing nothing but a shirt that came halfway between my crotch and my knees, and carrying a little 6-hole fife. That's a little flute that costs $1.50. So I don't know. I was not exactly a sensible person in those days. But at any rate, with a track record like that, I was crazier than a duck. I would go out in the middle of the night, just scared as hell to be alone in that apartment, and I'd call my sponsors up from some pay phone, crying, and they couldn't make any sense out of me. I was not exactly the type of person you would want to sponsor, you know. The only thing I did right was I just kept going to meetings, and I memorized the big book. But my first 4 years of sobriety, I wasn't dealing with my emotions in anything but destructive ways. I would go down to Elliston Place and pick up a cowboy. That seems like a wonderful idea at first. And after a couple of years of going down to Elliston Place and picking up a cowboy, and you wake up and he comes too. And you know, the night before it was either he was real enthusiastic and it was great, or he was dead to the world. But either way, his mouth tasted raunchy. Because you've got to be drinking that stuff to like the way it tastes on another person. That's just a theory of mine, you know. I might be wrong, but I've done a lot of experimenting on that theory. Ugh. And you know, and the next morning I'm trying to figure out how, you know, I'm either trying to figure out how to get rid of him, or he woke up first. And this is not a very flattering thought to me. You know, maybe he had a wife somewhere. Maybe he had a reason for running out the door before I woke up. But maybe he just went, oh shit, you know? Have you ever done that? You wake up and you go, oh no! And my first 4 years in AA, that was one of the things. Another of the things I mentioned. You know, I would be watching everybody get drunk, and I wouldn't find any cowboys to my liking. So I'd have them drop me by the Krispy Kreme. I'd buy a case of the sons of bitches. I'd eat every last one of them. I'd just throw them all up. I'd lie there on top of my bed crying. And that was a Saturday night to me. That's after an AA meeting. And you know what I would do Sunday at the AA meeting? You know what I would talk about? I would quote the big book. And I would talk about serenity. I was crazier than a duck. And when Winston came in, me and him used to get stoned together. He was the one that owned the cat that ate our pet canary. That time my brother invited all these guys over and they did STP together while we were out of town. All we found were these this empty cage, little feathers, and his little feet, man, and they were still standing up. I didn't find out till 10 years later that it was Winston's cat. Anyway, when Winston came in, I knew he came into AA after 10 years of active heroin addiction. Jails. Not a whole lot of jail time because his grandfather owns Bunch Cadillac. Institutions, you know, mental institutions and tryout centers and so on down the line. Lexington, all these heavy things. After 10 years of that, finally gets off junk. Develops an alcohol habit, and that's the only way he's getting any decent help. After 10 years. And I say, wait a minute, this is kind of weird. How come the only addicts, the only drug the only addiction, I'm not just going to limit this to drugs, because I have to deal with me, all kinds of real crazy things inside me that are part of my addiction. When I use the word addiction on that first step. How come the only drugs that people are being able to get help for is alcohol? I mean, really? Did you know that 1 in every 37 alcoholics dies sober? Look how big AA is. Look how many of us there are. Look how few NAs there are. You know, more than likely, we ain't even got 1%. More than likely, we ain't even got 0.1%. And I have been noticing that, you know, this thing of changing the words around in the literature is reaching a few of us, but it is not reaching all of us. It just isn't cutting it. Okay, what I'm trying to say is this. Steve came in from Fort Lauderdale. Steve M. from Fort Lauderdale. Anybody know? Not from West Palm Beach. Anybody know Steve M. from West Palm Beach? There's at least one guy in here. Oh well. Steve M. from West Palm Beach came in, and he came in to AA. He's a musician. He came to Nashville to make, you know, to seek his fortune or whatever. And there wasn't any NA. He turned around to Winston. He turned around to me. He says, all right, where is it? He says, listen, you guys, I'm leaving town. I got to take care of some business. Would you please? There's the only guy that knows Steve M. from West Palm Beach, and he left the room. It figures, doesn't it? Okay. Anyway, he says, would you please work on this thing while I'm gone? Now I'm going to tell you something about this cat. John, you haven't seen Steve much since he moved to Nashville, but Winston renamed Steve. His name is now Steve, I am responsible, but where am I, Mills? Anyway, he did that, and so me and Winston got into this thing, and Winston's got this sister, and she's still using, and I got this brother, and he's still using. But me and Winston are so damn much like brother and sister. I mean, I love-hate him so much. And he love-hates me so much. And that's how NA got started in Nashville. You know, he'd get something in the mail, you know. I got something from Sun Valley, nah, 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 nah. And I'd get this return to sender, you know. Oh, shoot. You know, one for Winston, you know, on and on. But I had this, you know, really heroic view of the little martyr, you know, because I knew Winston was not going to show up to the meeting where I went to the preacher and talked to the preacher about getting the key to the room, you know. He was going to have a meeting at the mental hospital, which is where he wanted to have it, you know. So I knew he wouldn't show up to the first meeting, and I would be sitting there alone for 6 months in this meeting room, you know, and I didn't even have any NA literature. I was going to read the AA big book, you know. But I was willing to do it because I'm such a noble person, and I had this great heroic dream. And I got there, and the first meeting was a speaker meeting. There were 3 of us. It was a story of Winston G. from Tennessee. It was great. It really was. It really was. And we even talked about that night. We even talked about that night when they were doing the angel dust and I was doing the acid. All of us talked about death being the ultimate trip, ha ha ha. Yeah. Anyway, we started out with 3 people, and the next week we had 6 people. And now we got 5 meetings a week. And now we got a lot. I mean, got a lot of willingness, a lot of beautiful people. Sunday night, after our great plans, we had this Winnebago with 9 people going, and it ended up we had this nothing with Gina going, you know, and they voted that they could get $80. But hell, they voted on it. I didn't even think they wanted me to go. And the ones that I thought, you know, the really cool ones like Hugh and Steve, you know, the ones that, you know, the ones that, oh, they're such hot stuff. They came up and hugged me and said, good luck, we'll be with you. You know, the ones that they never show their feelings and stuff, they're really neat. And they did that Sunday night. And Monday morning at 2 in the morning, I get this phone call from Bo in Atlanta saying, he says, I'm going to hand the phone to this my friend Robert. And I get this voice on the other end, and it's, hey, well, I'm coming from Fort Lauderdale, Florida. I'm going to Wichita, and I'm driving. Listen, do you know how to drive a stick shift? I said, no. Well, oh shit, she don't know how to drive a stick shift, Bo. I don't know what to do. I almost lost my ticket, you know. I'm sorry, I don't know. I'll keep you company, you know. What? I'll help on gas. Whatever. So it was funny. It was Goldilocks and the Papa Bear on the adventure to Wichita. You should have seen us. Me and Robert from Fort Lauderdale. You know, because like the way he lives, from what I can tell, he's real mellowed out, and he just walks around calmly. You know, and he likes to relax, and he likes to enjoy himself, eat and sleep, and doesn't want to do a whole lot. Great big old fella. Me, I'm just dun, 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 you know. And we'd stop at a stop, and he'd say, I'm going to relax for a little while. You want to go run around the car? You better believe I did it. That's how I got here. And this is really neat. About how I'm getting back. You handed me this microphone, you know, you're taking your chances handing me a microphone. There's no telling what I'll do. Okay. On the way back, I don't know how I'm getting back to Nashville, but if there's anyone going east, preferably southeast, I'll go as far towards Nashville as you'll get me, and I will help with expenses. And I'll really, what else I do? I'll try and keep my mouth shut. I'll try. Every 5 hours for about 30 seconds. Okay. Anyway, the thing, I had to do a lot of growing up. And about 2 or 3 months ago, I was in an AA meeting. I want to mention this. This is really nifty. Okay. In 1976, in Sioux Falls, South Dakota, Alcoholics Anonymous had this great big mini conference, and they had this huge auditorium in a hotel, and they raised the question, what are we going to do about all those drug addicts that keep coming into our meetings? Dun, 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 dun. And I'm sitting there, and I get these pictures of Winston, who hadn't gotten clean, and my brother, who still ain't clean, and all these other people out there. And I'm sitting there, and I'm going, oh, they're right. They're right. It says right there, we try to carry this message to alcoholics. And no. What are we going to do? You know, I'm not just, you know, the only reason I just talk about alcohol in meetings is because that's what I thought I was supposed to do. Of course, I didn't do a whole lot of what I was supposed to do. I just did part of what I was supposed to do. And they definitely heard some words they did not want to hear. Thank God. Anyway, so I got up to talk, and I don't know what I said. I just know that I knew then that we had to have something. I'm going to do something cool. We had to have something different, and we thought we had found it in Alcoholics Anonymous. I wouldn't be controversial on you, no, nothing like that. I'm not powerless over one particular drug. I'm powerless over my addiction. That's inside me. I'm grateful I share the same things inside you got. And we can share with each other. But I'm not powerless over something in a jar or a bottle or a bag. I'm powerless over something inside me. And even if there were no substances, I could get myself way the hell out in left field, as I did. About 3 months ago, I decided, I'd been telling everybody, I'd been celebrating birthdays in AA, even though I was like crazier than a duck. And I had gotten down to the point where I was chugging this poison medicine called Ipecac, which would make me real violently ill. But it wasn't drinking. It wasn't like taking drugs. And the last time I did that was October 13th, 1978. And I'd been walking around with this great AA halo on of, well, I've got 6 years. Of course, it doesn't mean a thing to me. And at this one particular AA meeting, I changed my dry date because I wasn't comfortable with bullshitting myself anymore, and I hadn't planned on doing it, you know. I was like sliding in under the rope under a technicality. This is my life. I can't stay sober with all this sliding in under the rope and stuff. I'm sure, you know, I could stay crazy. I really believe that it is possible to stay away from beverage alcohol, heroin, marijuana, Valium, whatever your thing is, without, you know, it is possible to do this without getting honest. But it ain't possible to stay sane or to get sane. I said, stay sane. Excuse me. No. And I didn't come into AA all that time ago sane, and I didn't clean up my act, you know, like almost 2 years ago, but not quite 2 years. And if I keep talking like it's 2 years, I might not make it. I didn't finally start really using this program. I didn't finally start really using it until I found out that nothing else was going to work. Nothing else. And I would get boyfrienditis and cookie-itis and jobs and the this and the that and the fame. You know, I had the fame obsession and the this obsession and the that obsession. I get into one thing or another thing or another thing. And I just kept on taking every negative trip with a shiny coating on it over and over again in my, quote, sobriety, until I got so screwed up I had to use the steps and the big book of AA and had to start really helping and really doing stuff, really taking some chances. Like telling people about feelings that I'm not at all proud of, that I'm sure they're going to go, oh God, you are such a nerd. Or they're just going to leave the room or something. You know, and you know, I don't know if anyone's done that. I've had a few people do this thing of, oh, I can't really relate to that, but, you know, that's your thing. You know, thanks for sharing, man. But that's okay, because me, I'm the one that grows out of that. The thing about sharing, about carrying this message, the most important message I got to carry is right here. Right here. It's, if I am talking serenity, but living in such a manner like where I'm treating myself really bad, you know, just really treating myself bad emotionally or physically or anything, I'm not gonna be any good to you or anybody else. You know? You can read through it, even when I can't. You know, we got people in NA in Nashville that are willing to do some of that stuff that couldn't used to be done without me. And you know, they're doing it a lot better than I do it, because there's more of them. And maybe, you know, a few people are more situated to whatever their posts are or whatever, but any of you bleeding deacons out there, ain't none of us can do it all. And if you're expecting yourself to do it all, I'm sorry, But I'm not going to cop to it. You don't have to, because you ain't God. I ain't God. Sure, I mean, hand somebody the keys to the church. I'll admit 2 sets of keys to 2 different churches, where they're going to open up, and what if this and what if that? Well, screw it. What if this and what if that? They're going to open up, and they're going to do it without me. We're going to be there. We're all in this. We're all in this together. And if you're brand new and nobody's put you to work yet on anything, you have every right to be insulted, because that's about the best way for you to start getting well. So you stick up for your rights. Last night, I felt kind of useless because nobody had called on me, and it suddenly dawned on me that maybe nobody would call on me at that meeting we had in here. So I did the one thing that always works. I jumped up and started running around and doing stuff. And it worked. I started feeling like a part of it again. And it wasn't just me. And I got away from my obsessions, my basic 3 favorites: my image, my comfort, and getting my way. Oh my God. I realized that I didn't have like a prepared speech. The reason I did not prepare a speech for you guys is because every time I would start to prepare a speech, I would double over and start shaking. Other than that, I would have been happy to do it. But I was too freaked out. I really was. And I got this saying that I made up. We got to make up our own slogans. I don't agree with all all the old slogans. They say don't compare. I say don't compete. But this is my slogan for me. Start projection, lose protection. God can cover my ass here in Wichita tonight at 10:15. But God can't cover it. How am I going to get back to Nashville? Tonight at 10:15. If I'm here, I can't be there too. That was reality to me, was being everywhere at once. Very strange reality. This guy here, I have no idea. I'm not the official introducer of this guy. I have no idea what he's going to say. But he has every right in the world to get up here and say it. And the only reason that I haven't stopped talking is because I got into this and I refused to look down at that watch, which I was hoping I would look down at, And I want one more thing. Everybody here. There's a lot of people here that I just naturally take a shine to. I just think you're all... You're so damn good looking and so neat. I mean, everybody, we have so much in common and stuff. I just want to run around with you and stuff. You know what I mean? I can't get enough of you. And I really want to avail myself of the opportunity to be with people. We all have to keep a balance, spend a little time alone and stuff. Don't burn out too bad. I mean, I can't. Or I'll be an asshole while I'm being with you. Thank you for your patience. Thank you, Wichita, for putting this thing on. Thank you.